next level at Winter Park. DJ Bobby was definitely next level at Palm. I heard Tim Bernardino's DJ was very good. Yeah. So sorry for those of you with Woodcrest. Sorry.
Oh, sorry to see you with Woodcrest.
He's already reported Liam to his boss, let him know he didn't represent them very well. So
I was like, hi, are you the DJ?
Yeah.
What? Okay, cool. Can you play Keep It Shuffle, please?
What's that?
awesome. Well, we're gonna do to kick things off. Danielle's gonna walk us through the service template for this coming weekend, and then Matt's gonna share briefly. This will be our first weekend where we're gonna do a remixed worship song in the set, and we want this to be executed successfully everywhere. So you having all the information that you need helps us set everybody up to succeed. So I'm gonna start with Danielle, then she'll kick it over to Matt.
So, the set changed.
When?
Last night.
Oh.
So, like at 11 o'clock last night, it changed. Well, and this is really the reason why. Last week we made some shifts and we didn't do a remix, and so we're kind of like backtracking and wanting to do that this week. Matt's been working really hard on a track to remix Good Grace, and I got to hear a bit of it yesterday. It sounds really, really great, and so just want to make sure that that's set up well. And to introducing Echoes this week, and want to make sure that that's set up really well. And where it was all placed just wasn't right, so it went back to the drawing board. But so we'll be starting with Good Grace, and that's gonna be familiar. Roadmap is also pretty similar, right, to the original,
Yes.
with the exception of.
Sorry, I had to think. I think like we don't go back to verse 1 at the end of the song. That's not the difference.
Yeah.
And it's just as a means to transition and keep the energy up for going into Echoes.
Right.
And the energy for this remixed version of Good Grace is really high, so it's a really good opener. So
Yeah. So over the intro, do your welcome. Just know that that will be timed because it will be over a track. So keep that in mind. That welcome can be on the shorter side because when you transition in from Good Grace into Echoes, it's on the lows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be singing that and keeping that energy up. Before you get to that first part of Echoes that seems different than Good Grace, over that little instrumental, that's a good moment to introduce, hey, we've got a new part of this song. When you feel free, go ahead and jump on in with us. We want you to sing with us, kind of something like that, to just encourage the engagement all the way through. And that's one where you can. Good Grace is kind of a weird one to clap to, just generally, but Echoes is like you're gonna get them on the double time and just go for it. So keep the energy really up there. This first time around through Echoes, we're not going to introduce chorus 2. So we're going to, because there's a lot of pieces to it, so we're going to just take that part right out, and I wrote down the roadmap, so follow that along. The next time we introduce it, we'll probably pull in chorus 2 or something like that, but we don't need to this time around. And so you want to end that one nice and high energy. It goes back to verse 2 of Good Grace, so it ends on something everyone knows and can sing. So really prompt them right before that moment, because they'll know it and sing along. And then we'll go into Who You Say. That's in the key of A. It shouldn't be. It can be. You can figure out what keys you want it to be in for transition's sake. After Who You Say then we'll go into Worthy. Both of those are a condensed version. So Who You Say is going to follow something similar to the acoustic arrangement. And then Worthy, we're cutting the instrumental and I think the bridge down a little bit. So all of those notes are in there, and then we're going to close with Build My Life. The notes on the dock are there for you. I might add something just over the instrumental Echoes so you have something to work with. But all of the notes are in here too. So okay, I'm all done. But if you wouldn't mind at some point, just today, switching that over, I would recommend just deleting the items in your plan and re-importing it. That's probably the best way to do it so you get all the notes in there. And yeah, you can do that by today so your team has time to work on Echoes.
Cool.
And the reference track will be up. It is up.
Yeah, reference track is up final version, I'm sending over to Kelly just to kind of give a little sprinkle some magic on it. But the structure, dynamic, like all of that kind of stuff is up ahead of time. One version has vocal like kind of prompts for each of them, so you'll hear like Joel Houston or Eddie, depending on the section, like start singing whatever that section is, so that way it's clear like where the vocal is coming in, even though you have the obnoxious prompt, saying verse right before it and stuff too.
And the final's coming in
Tomorrow.
And no one is allowed to say it's going to get rowdy. Is that right?
no.
I can't
Only
speak to
those with
that.
Australian accents.
Yeah,
You guys
that's it. It's gonna get rowdy in here.
So
Yeah.
in addition to the vocal reference, there's also a drum reference in there, just because we are changing up what the feel of the different sections are, to where usually the woes would kind of be the big part, everyone's in drums and stuff. This one, we're actually pulling out the drums and making it just big, open, like lots of cymbal rolls and kind of hitting those chords, but focusing on the voices and just it being this open kind of thing, because then when we come down, the verses are a lot more like tight, like boom, tick it, down, boom. And that's kind of driving into something where it kind of just opens up on the woes. And then the biggest part is just we've syncopated the rhythm of the chord changes in the bridge. So instead of swing wide, all you heavens, we've changed it to swing wide, all you heavens, like we're just kind of jumping back a little bit to build into the groove of it.
We sing
And
the
then
same thing
it's gonna
though.
be so fun, dude.
We sing the same thing though.
Same thing. The way you sing doesn't change.
Yeah.
In all of these things,
Where
what you
it
sing
feels.
is all the same.
Great.
Thanks for doing
We'll
this,
do the
guys.
bridge twice. I can't remember if we did it more than that usually, but it's in there twice.
Usually do it like 4.
Like 3 or 4. It's twice. So sorry. And then the click. The main thing to know for your drummer, that click is going to go extra after the track is done, so that you have some crossover with your drummer lining up his click, or his or her click with that.
Oh, cool.
And so it should be the same tempo. Echoes is just double time of what Good Grace is. I thought about just building out like an empty track with the click on it, but then if you get lost or go long or go short, like that could get weird, or if something stops, like then you guys don't have it. I think I just prefer not to rely on tracks as much as we can, so that way we have control over it live. And so just need to work on like when that last set of woes you'll hear on the reference is like where the double time kind of starts underneath that, and whenever your drummer is like down to just the kick, then they can kind of just line that up. So that's with the track, that's kind of the overarching kind of theme. I've made even some adjustments today that I'll upload this morning. That's some more elements from yesterday. Still the same layout, all that kind of stuff. And then Kelly and I are talking, we're gonna finalize the mix by tomorrow afternoon. But as far as making sure, like if you've never run a track at your campus, or you personally have never done that, I'll have the final uploaded on our shared Google Drive, and you'll be able to download it. And you can run it off of a mobile device if you want. I found a laptop to be a little more reliable. And I would recommend, if you can, using your laptop, I mean, you're not gonna fire it, that's weird to have a laptop up by you. But to have your laptop, have it downloaded, ready to go, and either your band leader or your drummer should be the people to fire the click, and you'll need to connect with your production lead to make sure everything's set. And Kelly Cairns also has a heads up in case he needs to like give pointers to any of the newer production leads, so they know how to set that up in the board.
So for this to be successful, it's going to require over communication with your band leader and your production lead for this week. Please don't assume that Notes on Planning Center count as over communication, because they don't. So you need to be, wherever you're leading this weekend, if you are, you need to connect with them today. Give them a heads up. Hey, we're doing something different. Hey, here's what that means. Hey, listen to the track. Hey, let's, have all of those conversations leading up to it, because just going, and especially with your team as well, I would over communicate. I would send in an email with the subject being like all caps, please read, because we can't just go, wait, it was on Planning Center on Thursday night, and have everyone have diarrhea because it was like, I didn't know, you didn't know, So just over communication is the key whenever we're adding a creative or a different piece that people aren't expecting. Because your comfortability on stage is going to dictate whether or not people engage. If you're super tentative, everyone looking at each other, they're going to go, what? First of all, what is this? And two, they don't know what they're doing. So your comfortability on stage is really going to dictate whether or not people engage. It's a bit of a risk to do it at the beginning of the service with echoes, but I think what I experienced this past weekend was echo was new, but it's easy to clap to, so that's people engaging. And going into Lion and the Lamb was a handle that everyone was like, okay, now I
know this
know
one.
this. So that's what Who You Say I Am is. But the one thing that I want you guys to tuck away, because I think it's really, really, really important, and this isn't your bent or default as a worship leader, I want you to like laser focus on it. You need to be leading throughout the songs. There shouldn't be pregnant pauses of silence on stage. We have to remember that everyone out there is like, oh, is that what we're doing? Oh, is that what we're... So the more active and present you are with bringing people into the moment, the more they'll join you, even if it's just this. But if it's just silence... Oh, and then here at this point I'm gonna share, let's go, so especially like this weekend, when there was a change, like Lion and the Lamb into Whole Heart, that's a super big shift. That's where you really, come on, let's continue singing, let's continue praising God together. Like you've just got to keep those prompts. And whenever we're doing anything new, those prompts become even more important because people, it sounds different. So for this song, and let's make sure this is in the worship leader notes, right over the intro of Good Grace, you're letting them know we're doing something different. Or don't just go into it and go, oh, like, so you guys know it, it's gonna sound different. So welcome to Relational Remix. We remixed one of our favorite worship songs, Good Grace. Come on, put your hands together, let's sing this out. Oh, Relational Remix. Oh, we remixed the worship song. Oh, okay, now I know what we're doing. Going from Good Grace into Echoes. Come on, this is easy to sing. Put your hands together, let's sing this out. Clap with us. I don't even think we need, whenever you feel comfortable, I just like to go, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna model it, and then you're just gonna join us. And after you've sung, again, think about this, every song is a pattern. So once you've gone through the pattern once, people have heard it, they've heard you sing it, they've heard you play it, now invite them to sing. If they're just clapping the first time through the pattern, that's fine. The second time, here, let's go. So just be really, really aware of verbal prompts and how powerful they are to a room full of people who are, the room is new, the song is new, they're tired, they're not sure, all of those things, verbal prompts really just kind of attack all of those. Okay, so just make sure over communication will be the key for this week. And if you have, I want you to like dive into this today, going into the weekend, so that if you have questions, you're hitting Matt like now, not waiting till Thursday, like, hey dude, I looked at the track and I don't really, like, get into that now, get into the weeds of it so that by then you're feeling like super confident, you got your questions answered. Don't wait to hear from your production lead, connected with them now. Hey, we're done, just to make sure you know we're doing something different. Get all of those logistics for firing the track, kind of settled. All the tracks will run off of our own technology, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Should.
Okay, that's important. Yes.
I have a question. So the track is just a reference track for our ears. It's not anything in the house, or
No,
is it?
it's
No, it's in the house.
it's in house. So there's two different versions right now. One, all the reference, like the vocal and drum reference, is panned to one side with the click and prompt. All the stuff that's going to be coming through is on the right side.
So if a band that's like, if I'm playing in a band that's not full band, like it might be like cajon, acoustic guitar, and keys, and like a vocal or two. Is that we're still using the track?
My recommendation.
I would say yes.
Okay, then I say yes as well.
One more question. Rogo worship leaders, do they know about this? Because the Rogo leader is the worship leader this weekend. I don't know if she knows or if I should just take lead ownership of making sure everyone knows what's going on for that. Or?
Yes.
Yep.
And we're still working on some final details for that team.
Okay.
So I think let's connect on that afterwards of what she's in the loop on and what you're on. I think from a band leader perspective, if you could own the track component, and then coach her through like what we're doing.
Sure.
This weekend specifically. The band leader notes that you send, is that just a new thing you're sending out, which is so
It's
great. So the band leader hears from you
Mhm.
all the things that we're hearing, so that when we connect with them, we're in the same.
Yep.
When does that go out? Today. Okay, great.
And then I would also recommend, like, even noticed it, like, as we were doing Echo this last week, as we're doing this series and we're doing kind of different styles and different feels than what we normally do, it's important to really build in the time for that at rehearsal specifically. So it's not, personal preparation is super important, but the other half of being comfortable on stage is making sure you guys are comfortable together. And making sure, like, even if you, I know sometimes we're like, oh, we got it and we're moving on. You don't want to just get it with these. Like, it's gonna show if we're not like tight. If we're like loose on that, like, I think that's the seam's gonna show a little more.
Yeah.
Because it's things that our teams are a little less familiar with. And so this week specifically, like with Good Grace and Echoes, like it's really great that the rest of the set is like really straightforward.
Right.
So I would say those are the ones to be like, got it. All right, and now like we're gonna dig in and really spend your rehearsal time on it. Like if there's ever a set of weeks to not feel like you're racing to get done as quick as possible, it would be these weeks.
The recommendation for this week would be to start rehearsal with Worthy, or Who You Say I Am, Worthy, Build My Life. Run those. That's, you know, if you've got a team that's pretty solid, that's gonna not take a lot of time. And then reserve the rest of rehearsal to really nail Good Grace and Echoes. Every worship leader is different. I'm a 75%. We got it 75% Thursday. I feel good going into Saturday. Not for this, I would run it that extra time just to like, let's just, and I would also make sure your production lead feels good about how it sounded, and if they think you should run it again, ask them, like, hey, how did that get their input? Because sometimes they can go, it actually wasn't good at all. I think you should run it again, and then you go, good to know. Better to kind of like, ooh, in an empty room than on Sunday and kind of then feel frustrated and all that stuff. So again, you can iron out a lot of things just through over communication now leading up to Thursday. So
Can I just say, some people don't read their emails. So if you kind of know your team a little bit, think about whether they do or not read them, and maybe text them. Think about them. Like, we're the leaders. We're here to serve people, and so like, just set them up really well, and then maybe communicate on Thursdays. Just, hey, this month is, or this series is really gonna need high communication. So just get them really reading their emails. Just watch out. It comes out on Monday or Tuesday, whenever you send it. Just like, tell them that it's coming, so then they can watch out for it. It's about teaching them to keep checking their emails. It'll help, and then it will help after the series as well.
thank you, Danny. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Good insight about Rogo leaders too. We want to make sure we set them up for success. All right, if you have something to take notes on, I want you to take notes. I wrote on this in my head the whole time. Amber Hayes is presenting. Thank you, Amber Hayes. So it's funny that we're in an Enneagram series because as I was working on this, I was thinking about how one of the things I love that Tammy says is she says the Enneagram is not an excuse, meaning because I have no 9, it doesn't mean, well, I don't care about being peaceful, so because I'm not a 9. Or because I have a low 2, well, I'm not going to help you because I'm not a 2. Like, we don't ever use the Enneagram to excuse like things that we should be doing or could be doing. It's there to just reveal, hey, this is where I am, and these are just things I need to be aware of. But the reality when it comes to our team is that we are all leaders. It doesn't matter if you like love that or if you hate that. It's just the reality of what we do. We are worship leaders. So every weekend we are leading worship, and you're either leading at a campus level, like you're responsible for your campus, or you're a network leader moving into different campuses, and you're carrying that. You're carrying that baton. Chris is not the Menifee worship lead, but right now she is. She's carrying that torch with all of its glory and other things, and she's doing the work because she's a leader. And so as we move into this, what I want you to be thinking of is, because I'm a leader, this matters. Because I'm responsible for fill in the blank, this matters, what we're gonna go over today. And it's the concept of building versus borrowing. And we're not gonna spend a lot of time on the borrowing, we're gonna spend a lot of time on the building. But the reason why this concept of one versus the other is important is because we made a huge shift last fall when we went from having a huge network team that, don't go back, sorry. We made a huge shift and we went from a huge network team that sent people like across the campuses to building campus teams. That was a huge shift, and we've all felt the rub, the good, the bad, the ugly, the confusing, the frustrating with that shift. And whenever you do something new, it should be frustrating. So listen, let me say this up front, this is for free, it's not even part of this. If you're not frustrated, you're not leading, because leading is frustrating, okay?
Yeah.
Take it from me. Leading is frustrating because we're leading people, and people are frustrating, and processes are frustrating, and things that fall through the cracks are frustrating, and people who don't lead as efficiently as you do are frustrating, and peers who don't get their work done as fast as you do. It's all frustrating, and that's just a part of leading. So there is no scenario on earth that I know of where when we lead, we won't be frustrated. But if you're not frustrated, then I'm going to push back and say, are you leading? Because there's just aspects of leading that are always frustrating. Now, if you're awesome every day, all the time, 24/7, well, now let's talk about that. But when you come against man, or that's leading. Well, that's leadership. Welcome. Here we are. We are a family of leaders, okay? So, now we move on, Amber. She's got new legs today, so she's feeling I'll try to get you without that brace. Okay. So these are definitions of building and borrowing that I want us to process through and think about, because they directly affect our system and what we're trying to do, okay? So the definition of building, notice the first word, the process. Building is not something that's finished. Building is a process of creating or developing something. These words, creating, developing, they're ongoing terms. We don't build something and move on. What we're doing is we are constantly building something. Typically a system, that's us, or a situation, over a period of time. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to build self-sustaining campus teams over a period of time. And because we are building teams of volunteers, we have volunteers come in, and we have volunteers go out. We have volunteers come in, then we have volunteers take a break, we have volunteers come in, we have volunteers have a baby, we have volunteers come in, we have volunteers move. This is the cycle that we're up against, right? You love them and then they leave you. That's just what we're in. Welcome to ministry. Welcome, this is how it is, okay? So that's why it's a consistent thing that we're always doing. We're always building. Borrowing is taking and using something that belongs to someone else, sometimes with the intention of returning it, or adopting from another source and using it in your own work. So you could, sometimes you'll hear a message in the sermon, they'll borrow a quote from somebody else, right? This right here is necessary for where we're at, but this is not our model. This is why this matters. This is our model. This is the necessary component of that right now, but this is not our model. And that's why we're going to talk about what building looks like, because right now we have to borrow. Like as campuses, like as Menifee learns how to stand on its own 2 feet, they're going to have to borrow teams because they're a brand new campus. As dynamic, high capacity volunteers move to North Carolina or decide to do something dumb like start a family, then they leave, and we've got to go, okay, well, if that's what you think God's will is for your life, whatever, I'm not no one to judge. It's just the reality. So it's the reality that this is the necessary component, but this is not the model. This is the model, which is why I want us to really focus our concentration moving forward on this, so that we don't get stuck here. Okay? All right, moving on. These are characteristics of a builder. So this is why I brought up the Enneagram. It doesn't matter if you're a 3, an 8, a 9, a 4, a 1, an 11, a 12. Doesn't matter. Like none of that matters. We're all builders. So these are characteristics of a builder. So while some of these may resonate with you, and you're like a boss when it comes to these, some of these may be really difficult for you, but they apply to all of us, okay? These are things that we have to make sure we are implementing, okay? So one is being a planner. Building requires planning and strategizing. It just does. If you're building a house, you gotta plan and strategize for all the components of that. If you're building a savings account, you don't just wake up one day and go, look, there's 20 grand. You have to plan and strategize. How are you going to build that account, okay? If you're trying to start a new business and you've got to build a client base, that's gonna require planning and strategizing. Planning and strategizing are a part of building. It requires being an ideator. It requires innovation and creativity. In other words, when we're building something, we can't just go, well, tell me what to do. Like, we've got to bring our own innovation and creativity. Our campuses, we are one church, many locations, but our campuses are all different. Like, you know that, different DNA, different people, different size communities, different size campuses. You know, when I talk to Steve doesn't have a lot of musicians showing up at banding every Sunday. So Steve's gonna have to be innovative and creative in different ways than maybe say Morgan is, who's got a really big campus and a lot of people. Maybe there are more musicians there, but workers are more reserved. Like, every campus is different, so we can't just, the network can't just go, here's your plan, and everyone just go. You've got to get inside of your own campus and that own DNA and figure things out. So being an ideator. And then being consistent. This is huge. Building requires regular, constant investment. So Luke has a joke, and it's funny. But in Luke's phone, if you find my contact in Luke's phone, it says, Melody Workman, I have another idea. Because a lot of my conversations with Luke start with, so I have an idea. So I have another idea. Because we're trying to build something with weekend programming that hasn't existed before. And that's what it requires. And it requires not just ideas, but the consistent investment into what that could look like, how that could be. I sit in my head all of the time with ideas, but I'm constantly putting investment into what does this need to look like? Where do we need to go as a team of one of many teams? How does that need to look? How can we bring hosting? How can we get hosting better, faster? That's what it requires. He is my boss and he's awesome, and he'll give me ideas all day long, but I can't wait on Dan Zambardi to give me ideas to make hosting better. Dan Zambardi wants me to bring ideas to him on how we make hosting better. He's there to support, he's there to help me. If I say, hey, there's an obstacle, he'll remove it for me. But that's what leadership requires. It requires continually, constantly investing, trying things. This worked, this didn't work, I'm back at the drawing board. It's not something that we do and we walk away from, okay? So these are characteristics of a builder, all right? Builders are, so as you think about your own default when it comes to things, I have my own defaults when it comes to things. A little personal real life example, we still own our house in Pennsylvania. I would burn it down if I could, and we have to delete that because if it actually burns down, I don't want someone to have evidence. I don't like our tenant. I think he's actually bipolar, and I'm not against that, but something's wrong with him. He's a wacko. And he makes me crazy, and today he fired off a text to me that in my 8-ness, because I could care less if that house goes into foreclosure and he's homeless. I don't care. Like, that's where I'm at with it. But in my default was like, oh, you want to know what, Melvin? Try this. Pack a bag. Like, I'll meet you on the front porch because I'll just change all the locks today. Like, that's where I was. And I had to pull back from my default because my default wasn't helpful in that situation, and just go, release. Like, okay, I'm just going to step away from that because my default is not good, right? My defaults in other situations are like, here's a mess, we got to clean it up, let's go. The reason why you knowing your defaults and where you tend to go, so we've already established leadership is frustrating. Where do you go when you're frustrated? What's your default in your frustration? You've got to identify that, and then you've got to learn to attack that. Because if you're not, then it's hindering your ability to expand your influence. Okay, so builders are proactive. They are not passive. Nothing's getting built with a bunch of people being passive. Like it's not happening. We're not building anything, we're not creating anything, we're not strategizing anything. So know your default. Now, there's good and bad here. If you're too proactive, you just charge ahead and we're like, whoa, no, we don't audition trumpet players. So I appreciate your idea to build a team, but we don't want an organ, right? Then you just get, but if you're too passive, it's like, well, I don't know, like audition, the key is I'm being proactive, understanding the plan, and then I'm running alongside of that. I'm asking questions along the way. I'm bringing new thoughts and new ideas to the table, but I'm not taking a passive approach because we can't build anything being passive. We won't. Builders are problem solvers. They are not shoulder shruggers. You know this emoji, right? Right. Okay, well, about that. A leader can't ever take that posture. Like, if you want to know why things get frustrating when you're leading, it's when a person feels like they're taking it on and they're charging the hill and they're looking around and everyone's like, well, that wasn't like this is what my kids do. Like, who didn't figure it out? Well, I did not. It wasn't my what? No. The posture of a leader is rolling the sleeves up, getting into the mess, and figuring it out. I don't get to walk in and go, I don't know why hosting, like, I don't know why it stinks. I don't know. No. I walk in and I go, sorry, Luke's laughing. I mean, it didn't stink. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't know why there hasn't been a lot of proactivity around hosting to this point. That's not the conversation anymore. That conversation's old and dead and buried. The conversation now is, here's what I'm actively doing to help hosting get better across our campuses. That's an old, dead conversation. And I will tell you this, as you lead and you enter into new areas of ownership, as you take on, Devo stepping into where there's not been a consistent worship leader at San Bernardino, as soon as you step into a situation, after a while, you're gonna be able to kind of survey and go, okay, here's where we need work, right? A leader goes, here's where we need work, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to figure it out. I'm willing to go, okay, this is how it has been. I'm looking at it. This is how I think we need to go. Not, oh, well, I don't know. I don't know. We have to always be taking a different approach because, again, we're building something and we can't build it by taking this. Builders are persistent. They are not complacent. Anything that you're building, you're changing. You're changing something. If you're building something, you're changing something. And nothing gets changed by just, oh, that's cool, right? There has to be a persistent, again, this motion is active, it's always going, it's always working. So as you kind of think through your own, again, you need to do self-evaluation because you're gonna lead yourself better than anybody else. You need to kind of look at these and go, here's where I tend to sit. I can be a problem solver, but I can be a B. Or I'm a shoulder shrugger because I'm insecure. Or whatever those answers are, you need to identify because the thing is, we need to all be moving towards a posture of building. And if we're already kind of in our posture, then we need to go, okay, I want to increase my influence. I want to expand it. I want to be a better builder. All right, so now let's talk about how-tos. I don't want to give just ideas. I want to give you, this is what we need you to be, and here are some how-tos. These are your takeaways. These are your handles. These are, I can walk out of this meeting and start doing these things to become a better builder, to become a stronger, more consistent leader, either at my campus or at the network level, okay? And some of these you may already do, and if you do, that's awesome. And some of them you may not do, and I'm gonna say start doing them, because I think it'll be really helpful. One, connect with your team members throughout the week. This goes back to the idea of vision. You've gotta be continually, not once, not I emailed him back in March, not I brought cupcakes for Bobby's birthday. There's gotta be a consistent engagement with your team members. And listen, it's not hard. It isn't hard. If you say I've got a team of 15, 19 people, then connect with them somehow, right? And get them, hey, I'm just shooting you guys a text to say, love you, I appreciate you, I'm thinking about you, praying for you, whatever those things are. Make sure that you're connecting with them throughout the week. Initiate weekend conversations around team growth. What if someone on your team has a great idea for growing your team,
Right.
but you don't know it because you don't ever talk about it as a team? Like, I would be talking about it. I would be saying, hey guys, this weekend was awesome. I love you guys, and I don't want you to be here for 4 weekends out of the month. You guys Drew did Hunter Park and Palm PM 2 weeks in a row. That's not sustainable for Drew.
Yeah.
That's not healthy for Drew, and we need to be problem solving for Drew. Drew may think this is amazing, but it's not. He's on the road to burnout, and he doesn't even know it. That's on us. He's a volunteer that we need to be looking out for. So we are continually having conversations with our team. Listen, group ownership will solve a lot of problems. That's why I love to get people around the table. We've got to discuss something that's going on at Eastvale. I'm not going to try to figure that out on my own. I'm going to bring 3 or 4 different people to the table. But hey guys, listen. Here's the situation. Here's what we got to fix. Give me your thoughts and input. So as you're huddling up at the end of the weekend and you're telling your team how much you love and appreciate them, hey guys, I want to grow our team. Like as you are in contact with people, as you know people, as you connect with people at work, let them know, hey, we've got places for you to play at our church. And have audition postcards. If you're like, hey, I haven't seen audition postcards, I would love for you to ask for more. Would that be great if it wasn't like me going, oh, I guess we need more. You guys going, hey, I've handed all mine out. I need some more. I want to just be handing these to my team. It's just got to become a part of your language, a part of your DNA as a team that we're constantly trying to build towards growth. Okay? All right. Connect with your campus pastor and leverage their influence to grow your team. You know who doesn't want the worship to suck at your campus? Your campus pastor. You don't, okay? So connect with them. In your one-on-ones, if he's not initiating the conversation, that's okay, you initiate it. Hey, would you help me grow our team? Here's some things I'd like to do. And I'm gonna just throw in a little asterisk here. If you throw ideas to your campus pastor, like the ones we've listed up here, and they turn that down, I would just like to know that. Because I'd like to know what the better idea is, and maybe there is one. I would just like to know about it. But I talked to one campus pastor, he was like, I would do anything to help promote. Like, I'll walk up there with a sandwich sign saying join our team. They want the worship experience at their campus to be amazing, and they want you to care about it, and they will help you collaborate. If they don't, I would be shocked, but I think that they will. They send out a weekly email to their campus, and you can easily shoot a video and ask them to put that in there and put the link to auditions in there.
Right.
You say, well, I can't do that every week. No, but you could do it once a month, right? Like, be that, and then they say, hey, okay, we can't put it in here again. Okay, could we think of some other creative ways? Okay, this is huge because whether or not you love social media or not, I want to let you know that from what this is my own experience with it. What you post to your social media reveals to the people who follow you what you value. It does. What's visible is valuable. This is a conversation I had with Dan a few years ago about something in our own organization. I said this thing that we're talking about is invisible to people, which means it's communicating that it's not valuable to people. What we promote, what we put out there for ourselves, communicates to the people that follow us. This is what matters to me. This matters to me. So think about that. I can't mandate what you do on your social media. I mean, I can mandate what you don't do on your social media because, those conversations are always fun. But listen, if building your team is valuable to you, then why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you want people to see you in action and go, hey, if you're a musician and you attend Palm, I'd love to connect with you this Sunday. I'll be in the depot after this service and this service. Hey, if you play or you sing, I'd love to connect with you. Leading worship has changed my life. I can't believe I get to do this. And I'd love to meet you and talk to you about it. And just see what happens. And listen, don't dog it till you try it. One of the things, when I get like, my kids tell me about this visceral reaction that I have when they tell me stuff. We'll be sitting down and I'm like, well, have you tried? well, I tried it and it didn't work. And I try really hard not to show it externally, but something inside me, I can't help it. Like I go, like, don't tell me won't work until you've worked it. And if you worked it once and it didn't work it again. Like, consistency matters. If you're wanting to lose weight, save money, build a house, buy a car, build a team, consistency matters. You've got to keep at it. You've got to keep going. And then lean into local connections. We kind of have this really big deal called CBU, like, in our town, with like a lot of collegiate musicians who either live here or don't, but like to play or like to sing and are probably pretty good at it. We also have RCC, we also have UCR. Wow, there's people who love God or don't love God and can play an instrument, but wow, we can make a connection there.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you need to be hanging out at UCR for 4 hours on the clock, like just, hey, play guitar. Like, I'm not saying you need to go get your guitar and your penny jar and just go, talk to me after I play at Sandals Church. Like, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying, think about it. How could you make some connections? What could that look like? Because guess what? This is something that really matters. And then pray. And I didn't say pray till the end because it actually matters the most. But like Steve and I were talking about this, and he was like, we should actually be praying for team growth. We should actually be praying for God to bring people to our campuses with a heart for worship. Like if you weren't like, I posted the picture of Sandals Youth at Hunter Park this past weekend, and just the visual of what that looks like their generation gets such a bad rap for being lazy and not caring, and I'm raising one, so I'm like, oh, I don't say that. But then I watched that and I'm like, you know what? Like that's who's next.
Come on.
That's who's on deck. That's who's up. So we've got to be thinking about strategic ways to connect with them and raise them up and empower them. I want to see more teens on our weekend teams. And so does he. And so, like, you know what? Addison can sing and she's got pitch. Put her on a weekend team. Esther Logan can sing like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Get her on, like, let's get them motivated and empowered and serving. And if it takes us a little extra time to help them figure out their ears or figure out whatever, that's time well spent.
Totally.
Because you're passing on the baton. You're getting them pumped for when you're not here anymore. And here's the thing that Christina and I have talked about a lot, because as we develop Rogo leaders, the church often talks about empowerment as being this thing, like, it was my turn, now it's not my turn, now it's your turn. There's another way to look at empowerment. It's still my turn, but I've made room for you too. And we're gonna go together. It's not always just about, well, I don't think no, we're gonna run together. We're gonna run side by side. Look at Joel Houston. He's looking old, but he's still running hard. And the first time I ever heard about Joel Houston, he was on stage with Darlene. They were together, leading worship together. And when Darlene was done and she had led a few songs, she went to the front row and she worshiped while Joel led her. It's both. It's not either or, it's both and. We're leading together, and then we're going, I'm going to watch you do it. Because we've been leading together, and I know that you've got it. This just has to become a part of our normal rhythm. Is there another slide? Because I feel like I'm missing a piece. Can you go back? Okay, this right here. I want to talk about this for a second. Create space into your weekly rhythms that incorporate team building components. I want to break that down a little bit more. So in your weekly schedule, you've got prep time for rehearsal, you've got emails, like I don't know how to restructure your calendar. What I'm asking you to do starting this week is there should be some sort of a thing in your calendar that says team building. And if it's 30 minutes, you're strategizing ideas, you're connecting with team members, you're talking to your campus pastor. Maybe that's where you email your campus pastor to say, hey, in our next one-on-one, I'd like to talk about team building. But team building is not something that we walk away from just because we've started monthly auditions. Okay? We want this to be just on the forefront of all of our minds, that we're really trying to bring people to our campuses and get them excited about playing music, worshiping God, singing, and leading people. So when I say create space into your weekly rhythms, it's more than just these two things are obviously important because they're in red, but it's also important that as you map out your week. So I have my calendar kind of broken down into things that I attack at certain times, and one of those things is always ideating. You're welcome, Luke. It's just a time in my week where I'm like, this is when I ideate. This is when I think about things. I scratch them down. I think them through, and then I connect with whoever. Like, hey, I've got an idea. Hey, because I have to be thinking about new ideas all the time. Like, it's part of my responsibility. Building and caring for our teams is just something that's always on. It's always on the agenda. We don't go, well, I built and cared for my team last month, so this month I'm gonna. No, it's just something that's ongoing. And listen, I need you to prioritize it. I need it to be something that you're thinking about and you're as passionate about as I am. Because I can't build all your teams, like Christina can't, Steve can't. And something really cool that I talked about with Adam Atchison, as he's been talking to campus pastors, and they're all trying to do the same thing at a higher scale. They're trying to build their campuses, right? I've talked to Chris Reinhardt. There isn't a campus pastor more passionate about their city than Chris Reinhardt. He's unearthing every possible idea he can think of to get people to San Bernardino. He's at everything, he's in everything, he's talking about it, he's giving away free stuff. I don't know if he's robbing banks or what he's doing, but he's got something free to give away every single week. And he's posting about it, and he's highlighting it because he's passionate about it. It's visible to me how valuable San Bernardino is to Chris Reinhardt. That is the mantle that we all have to take as we lead our church. I follow Chris on social media, and I know what matters to him, right? It's our chance, it's our opportunity to build excitement and enthusiasm about what we're doing. You're all gonna hit dry seasons where you're not passionate about it. That's also the reality of leading. You're gonna hit seasons where you're tired, it feels like a lot, there's a lot going on, you don't particularly love your campus pastor, it's not your favorite person, you don't particularly love your network supervisor, I'm not your favorite person. Okay, that's all again the reality of what we're doing. But we all should always be passionate about Jesus and what he's doing in our church and the people he's bringing to our campuses every week. And if you don't like me, I will be okay with that. Like, I won't be upset about it. I love you. If you're like zigging and zagging with your campus pastor, that'll be worked out over time. We're people, we're imperfect, we need forgiveness, and we're broken and all that stuff. But Jesus is the constant that ignites our fuel and ignites our energy every day, every week, all week. So don't look to me to always be your, right? I'm gonna do the best I can. Don't look to your campus pastor to always be feeding that fire. If I could say one thing to kind of bring this all to the top, build your life on the foundation of Jesus. That has to be your internal source of energy, of passion, of creativity, of drive, of consistency. That's what's going to fuel it. I'm walking through a study right now on YouVersion about what it means to worship, and every morning I'm just like, oh my gosh. I mean, this morning I was so convicted because of the verses in Isaiah and Matthew where Jesus points out and he says, they're doing all of this stuff, but their hearts are far from me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, God convicted me again and again that this can't become my routine, mundane, 9 to 5 where I'm clocking in, clocking out, and I get to play some music or give some talks along the way. Remind me that my heart and the posture of my heart is what matters most to you, and I need to feel broken for people, I need to feel burdened for people, and that should ignite all of these other things that we're talking about. And I want you to hear me say this: you can do this. You can do this. Regardless of your DNA, your makeup, your default, your whatever, what you've done before, you can do this. You know why? Because you're not doing it alone. I'm not going, hey, figure it out over there, praying for you. Like, we're all in this together. This is a collaboration. I want Devo to be set up for maximum success at San Bernardino. So I said, hey, you come back with any and every question you can think of. We're gonna co-lead with you. Then you keep coming back, because as talented as he is, I want him to know he's not walking to San Bernardino like, here's how I used to. Like, he knows we're coming alongside of him. And you don't have to be new to get that kind of support. That's how I feel about all of you. That's how our network leaders feel about all of you. So listen to me, you can do this. you're not alone. What I hope today is just a chance to kind of recalibrate and look at, here's what I'm doing, here's where my team is, and here's where I want my team to go. And listen, one of the most fun things for me has been when I take an idea over there and he asks me this question: how are you going to measure your success? Just like the idea, dang it. Like, wasn't this a great idea? How measurables, metrics. I'm not good at math. Me and Amber had to work on something called a financial justification with 3 execs, and I literally had to nap afterwards. I was like, okay, that took everything. Like, because data is what moves things around here, not feelings. Like, I'm overwhelmed. Put that into a data. Do you feel 70% overwhelmed and 30%? No, I'm just kidding. Sort of. But measuring things are really, really important. So over the next couple of weeks, as you connect with your data line supervisor, if you're a campus worship leader, you're going to create some goals with Steve, with myself, and with Christina over, here's what I want to see happen at my campus. Here's what it looks like right now. Here's where I want to go, and here's how we're going to get there. And they're going to be your support. They're going to be your cheerleader. They're going to be your, hey, here, I want to help you however I can. Because here's what I believe. I believe that we have crested between 12 and 13,000 people. We're on our way to maybe being at 15 by the end of the series. So with all of those hundreds, we're averaging somewhere between 150 to 300 new visitors every week.
Wow.
That's unheard of in churches.
Wow.
Crazy.
It's unheard of. But I promise you that in that 300, there's gotta be 5 people playing a guitar. There's gotta be 2 people that can sing on pitch, right? There's, and listen, as you connect with people, this is what I told Isaiah. You need to hop into what we're doing with auditions and say, hey, Marge is gonna come audition to be on the vocal team, but Marge's husband Bob isn't serving anywhere. Well, we could use him too. Bring him and let's start production like that same night. Let's leverage that and get people who are serving behind the booth. It just has to be something that's sitting up here for us all the time. All the time. Please don't ever look at your team and go, cool, all right. And then because guess what? Steve is my brother, and if Steve's team loses his electric guitars from a move and another woman having a baby and whatever, he's gonna have to borrow for a while. And I don't want that to create frustration and resentment inside of you, which is what can happen. The enemy will look for any crevice to see division. So you can totally believe that the enemy is behind. Well, I built my team, they haven't built it. That's all divisive. That's all sinful. That's all competitive. That Jesus doesn't honor that. He doesn't bless that. That doesn't have his favor. So we all have to keep ourselves in check. But what we can be doing, when we are embracing this idea that we're going to build and we're going to build and we're going to build, that when those necessary times to borrow come, yeah, sure, yeah, absolutely, yeah, let me help set you up for success. I want to be successful on my campus, but I also don't want you to be struggling over at yours, right? So if we all adopt this mentality, this is what we're going to get. This is what we're going to get. And we are so much healthier now, almost a year later, than we were a year ago. But now it's time to think about where we're going to be in 2020.
Great.
Right? It's time to think about how we're going to take the next hill, overcome the next obstacle, get the next round of people. So, what I want you to be thinking of in terms of logistics.
Wow. I think we're moving in the room. You know.
If it's just a person that's not an earthquake, I'm okay with that.
It's not
It's a
a
person.
person.
It's a person. Just a
Okay.
person.
I'll sit down. Just in case. Did you guys feel that one last week?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Computers.
Okay, so I have a funny story. So it was Monday. It was your first day,
Yeah.
and I was giving them a tour of the campus, and the production team was in the auditorium. And we walked in and said, "Hey guys, I want to introduce you to our new campus worship leader. This is Devo." And the earth went boom, 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 boom.
Let's go.
I can feel the ground.
Oh my god.
Everybody's like, whoa.
That's so awesome. Here's what I want to do. I want to take just like 5 extra minutes. I want us to break up into our small groups.